Boston, Massachusetts. November 28, 1942, 10:15 p.m. The war had been going on for exactly 1 year. Pearl Harbor was 12 months ago. Thousands of American soldiers were overseas. Back home, the country was learning how to exist in wartime, rationing sugar, buying war bonds, watching the news. The fear was real. But so was the hunger for something normal, something alive. On the Saturday after Thanksgiving, 1942, nearly 1,000 people decided that normal meant a night out at the most glamorous nightclub in New England. The Cocoanut Grove. Music, dancing, a drink. Just one evening away from the war. By 10:16 p.m., 1 minute after the fire started, the entire Melody Lounge was engulfed. By 10:20 p.m., people were dying at the front door. By midnight, 492 of those 1,000 people were dead, and 6 of the 9 exits had been locked shut before anyone walked through the door that night. This is not a story about an accident. This is a story about choices and who got to make them. The most glamorous address in Boston. The Cocoanut Grove was not just a nightclub. In the 1940s, it was an identity, a statement. To be seen there on a Saturday night meant you had arrived. The club sat at 17 Piedmont Street in Boston's Bay Village neighborhood, steps from Park Square and the Theater District. From the outside, it was unremarkable, a low, sprawling building on a narrow cobblestone street. But inside, owner Barney Welansky had built a fantasy. Fake palm trees draped in artificial fronds, satin curtains in deep jewel tones, bamboo walls, low light from bulbs hidden in fake coconuts. A basement lounge called the Melody Lounge with a revolving stage and a full bar. Upstairs, the main ballroom with its famous retractable roof that opened to the night sky in summer. The new Carib Room, a second dining area added just months earlier to handle the surging wartime crowds. Frank Sinatra had performed there in 1941, backed by Tommy Dorsey's orchestra. It was that kind of place. On the night of November 28, 1942, the official legal capacity of the Cocoanut Grove was 460 people. There were approximately 1,000 inside, more than twice the legal limit, every table full, people standing 3 deep at the bars, soldiers in uniform out for one last night before shipping overseas, couples celebrating engagements, a football team from Holy Cross that had just beaten Boston College in an upset. The original BC victory party had been canceled, so hundreds of unexpected celebrants flooded the Grove instead. It was the most crowded night in the club's history, and 6 of the 9 exit doors had been locked, bolted from outside to prevent customers from leaving without paying their bill. The man who built the trap. To understand the Cocoanut Grove fire, you have to understand Barney Welansky. Barnett Welansky was a Boston lawyer with deep, well-documented connections to organized crime. His previous boss, the man from whom he had effectively inherited the Grove, was Charles King Solomon, a Russian-born mob boss who owned the club through the early 1930s. Solomon was shot to death in the men's room of a rival club in 1933. Welansky, his lawyer, stepped in and took over the Cocoanut Grove. What Welansky had that King Solomon never needed was something more valuable than muscle. He had the mayor. Welansky bragged openly to employees, to vendors, to anyone who would listen, about his personal friendship with Boston Mayor Maurice Tobin. He spoke freely about ignoring what he called silly building code requirements. He dismissed fire safety regulations as bureaucratic nuisance. He had the political cover to do so, and he used it without hesitation. The decorations inside the Grove were almost entirely flammable. The satin draping, the bamboo panels, the artificial palm fronds, the paper decorations strung across the ceiling. All of it illegal under fire code, all of it approved by inspectors who either looked the other way or were never asked to look at all. The air conditioning system, due to wartime shortages of standard refrigerants, had been filled with methyl chloride, a highly flammable gas venting quietly into the sealed interior of the club every time the system ran. The Melody Lounge in the basement had exactly one exit, a narrow 4-foot stairway leading up to the foyer. And on the night of November 28, 1942, Barney Welansky was not in his club. He had suffered a heart attack 12 days earlier and was upstairs in a hospital bed at Massachusetts General Hospital, the same hospital where survivors of his fire would soon be fighting for their lives one floor below him. He had left the doors locked, the decorations flammable, the crowd at double capacity, and he had gone to bed. 15 seconds. At approximately 10:15 p.m., a busboy in the Melody Lounge was screwing a light bulb back into a fake palm tree that a customer had unscrewed as a prank. To see what he was doing in the dark corner, he lit a match. The artificial frond ignited. A survivor and physician named Dr. Joseph Dreyfus described what happened next in a statement recorded that night. He said, and I'm quoting directly, "The fire burst through the club in 15 seconds. 15 seconds. The Melody Lounge went from a lit match to a fireball in the time it takes to read this sentence aloud. The methyl chloride from the air conditioning vaporized in the heat and spread the fire faster than anyone in the room could process what was happening. The satin drapes, the bamboo walls, the paper decorations, years of illegal choices turned into fuel in a single instant. At the only exit from the basement, that narrow 4-foot staircase, somewhere between 300 and 400 people tried to climb a passage built for one. Upstairs, the fire hit the main ballroom. The band was still playing when the ceiling caught. People at tables looked up and saw the fabric canopy above them in flames. The lights went out. In the sudden darkness, 1,000 people, all at once, tried to find a way out. The front entrance, a single revolving door. Within 90 seconds, it was jammed solid with bodies. People crushed into it from both sides, the door locked in place by the weight of the dying. The other exits, 6 of the 9 were bolted from outside. Some opened inward, useless against the pressure of hundreds of people pushing from the other side. One exit was hidden behind a curtain, another was concealed behind a decorative panel. Dr. Dreyfus survived because when he stood up from his table, the carbon monoxide knocked him unconscious and he fell to the floor, where the air was marginally cleaner, and was pulled out later by rescue workers. 2 or 3 people at his table, he said, never stood up at all. They died in their seats. They never knew what hit them. The door that killed the most people. Of all the details of the Cocoanut Grove fire, one has endured in the memory of Boston for 80 years. The revolving door at the main entrance, it was the only primary exit from the building. When the fire started, the instinct of 1,000 people was the same. Get to the front. Get to the way you came in. Get out. They found the revolving door. They pushed. Hundreds of people pushing at once from every direction into a mechanism designed for one person moving calmly in one direction at a time. The door locked, not from any external force, just from the physics of panic, equal and opposing pressures on both wings, and the door stopped moving entirely. People died there, piled against the glass, stacked against each other, unable to go forward or backward, the fire rolling over them from behind. One survivor, Jordan Sirocco, described what his family was told years later. His uncle's remains were found up against the revolving door. He was identified only by his wristwatch. There was nothing else left to identify. A jazz bassist named Jack Lesberg survived by doing something almost no one else thought to do. He picked up his double bass and used it to smash through a wall. He broke through the plaster and crawled out into the Boston night. Charles Mingus later described this moment in his autobiography. Some people made it to the roof and jumped, landing on parked cars on the street below. Most did not make it anywhere. The fire was effectively over within 12 minutes. 26 fire engines responded. 187 firefighters arrived on scene. The building was already a tomb. The night Boston's hospitals changed medicine. What happened at Massachusetts General Hospital and Boston City Hospital on the night of November 28, 1942, is one of the most significant chapters in American medical history, and almost nobody outside the medical community knows it. Boston's hospitals had been running wartime emergency drills for months, preparing for the possibility of a German attack on the East Coast. The drills nobody thought they would ever really need. At 10:30 p.m., the first ambulances began arriving. Then more, then a wave that did not stop. Within hours, Massachusetts General Hospital had received hundreds of burn victims. The hospital's blood bank, recently installed as part of wartime preparedness, was used on a massive scale for the first time. Its value was immediately, undeniably proven. On December 2, 1942, 4 days after the fire, a physician at MGH administered penicillin to burn victims to combat infection. It was the first recorded use of penicillin on non-test patients in American history. The antibiotic had been developed, but barely tested. The Grove survivors were, in the most tragic sense, the trial that proved it worked. The burn treatment protocols developed in those weeks at MGH and Boston City Hospital were adopted by military surgeons and used on the battlefields of World War II. Soldiers who survived combat burns in the Pacific and in Europe survived in part because of what Boston's doctors learned from the Cocoanut Grove. 492 people died that night, and in dying, they inadvertently gave the world medical knowledge that saved thousands of lives in the years that followed. That is perhaps the most devastating sentence in this entire story. The reckoning. It wasn't in the weeks after the fire. A grand jury indicted 10 people. 10 individuals whose decisions, negligence, and corruption had made the Cocoanut Grove what it was on the night of November 28th. Only one was convicted of a crime: Barney Welansky. 19 counts of manslaughter, sentenced to 12 to 15 years in state prison. The fire inspectors who had never actually inspected the building, mistrials, acquittals. The city officials who had accepted Welansky's political connections as a substitute for fire safety compliance, mistrials, acquittals. The contractors who had installed the flammable decorations, suspended sentences. Just Welansky. One man. He served 3.5 years. Then the governor of Massachusetts, Maurice Tobin, the same mayor whose friendship Welansky had boasted about for years, now elevated to governor, signed a pardon. Welansky was released from prison in November 1946 on grounds of terminal cancer. Upon his release, Barney Welansky said, "I wish I had died with the others in the fire." He died 9 weeks later. He was 50 years old. The legal system had produced one conviction, one pardon, and a near-complete failure to hold accountable everyone whose choices had made the fire possible. The political connections that Welansky had maintained so carefully for so many years protected almost everyone except him, and even he served less than 4 years for 492 deaths. The official cause of the fire was ruled undetermined. No one was ever held accountable for the locked doors. No inspector was ever convicted. No city official was ever convicted. And the mayor who had provided the political cover that allowed all of it went on to become the governor who signed the pardon. 492 people went out dancing on the Saturday after Thanksgiving, 1942. They deserved a safe building to dance in. They didn't get one, and the people responsible for giving them that safety made sure they never would. If this story made you angry, good. Share it. Leave a comment. Do you think justice was served? Subscribe to Echoes of Reality. Because the darkest stories are always the ones that could have been prevented.